Over the last 7 years during my dividend investing journey, I found it more and more appealing to spend most of my cash balance on a daily basis, at least as of this point, into high quality dividend paying ETFs. Just because generally speaking, if you're buying into high quality ETFs that are well diversified, there's a lot less stress involved in single stock picking, at least from what I've seen. Now on top of this, as of recently, I've been buying into a handful of these dividend paying ETFs that have been boosting my dividend income substantially. So much to the point to where as of recently, I've been hitting all-time highs as far as monthly dividends paid, and as of last month, I was paid north of $6,000 in a single month in dividends. Now in this video, we're going to break down which 5 of these ETFs I've been buying like crazy that have been boosting my dividend income as of recently. So if this interests you at all, make sure to please drop a like down below, stick around, and let's get right into the first one. Real quick, for those that haven't already, make sure to go to the first link in my description and grab my new dividend investing ebook, where I share exactly how I went from $0 invested to now earning over $6,000 on a monthly basis and over $1 million invested in the market. Along with the ebook, you're also going to receive my custom dividend tracker, where you can track your dividend progress on an ongoing basis and reach your dividend investing goals. So make sure to grab yourself a copy of my dividend investing ebook and the new dividend tracker today. It's the first link in my description. So number 1 out of 5, this is probably my favorite, at least as of recently. This ETF I've been buying tons of shares of, and I'm definitely going to keep buying more shares to build up my position. I'm talking about SPYI, or the NEOS S&P 500 High Income ETF. Now, if you're watching this video, I assume you're somewhat familiar with SPYI, but basically SPYI buys into the constituents of the S&P 500, sells covered calls on the index, and then also buys call options when it makes sense. On top of that, this ETF also pays dividend in a tax efficient manner and pays more or less the same exact dividend every single month, which as of recently has been somewhere around 49 to 50 cents every month. Now, SPYI hasn't been around all that long, but the more I read into it and the more I hear from the fund managers, this ETF, at least so far, seems to be everything I've ever wanted out of a covered call style, option style ETF. Now, I'm of course also a huge fan of JETB and JETQ and the others, but SPYI has been a newer position in my portfolio. And what's great about SPYI is that basically every single share that I purchase, I'm sort of more or less quote unquote guaranteed around 47 to 50 cents extra as far as dividend income goes per month. SPYI is an absolute all-star. I'm definitely going to keep buying more shares as the time goes on. The next dividend paying ETF that I've been buying as of recently that's also substantially boosting my dividend income is SVOL, or the Simplified Volatility Premium ETF. Now this ETF is sort of an alternative investment option, and I would never have SVOL make up a large portion of my portfolio. This is because SVOL has a very complicated strategy. They short the VIX and earn a ton of premium for doing so. Now SVOL pays out more or less 30 cents on a monthly basis, and again 30 cents per month when an ETF is only $22 means that this ETF is going to yield a lot, and yield a lot it does, 16.2% trailing 12 months. Now, because of the strategy and the risk involved and the fact that the NAV has decayed a little bit, at least as of the first year or so that this ETF was around, this ETF is going to be a smaller position out of all the ones we're talking about in this video, but it is sort of a fun little satellite position to gamble with, and so far, honestly, it hasn't been much of a gamble at all. It's been doing great. The next dividend paying ETF that I've been buying a lot of as of recently that's been substantially boosting my income, this one is super high yielding, is FETB, or the Rex FANG and Innovation Equity Premium Income ETF. Now this ETF is super interesting because it doesn't necessarily track an entire index. It has a small basket of holdings within an index. Names like Nvidia, Alphabet, super high beta names as you can see right here. And because these names are highly volatile, they generally offer a ton of premium. And the fact that FETB sells covered calls is able to potentially, or at least has so far, generate a ton of option income for investors. We're talking like $1.20 on a monthly basis so far for an ETF that costs around $52 per share, which is insane. Now again, because of the risk involved and the fact that FETB is relatively new, it's only been around since about October 11th of last year. This ETF is going to be a sort of a trickle buy. I'm going to buy a few shares here and there. Nothing too crazy because again, I would say this is maybe a little bit higher on the riskier end. But all in all, I love the covered call strategy and the fact that the names that FETB has within it are super volatile, so there should be a massive amount of premium to be made in the form of dividends, which is what we've seen so far. The next dividend paying ETF that I've also been buying a ton of shares of as of recently, and this one's as of super recent. I just started buying some shares I think last week or so. This is QQQI, or the NEOS NASDAQ 100 High Income ETF. So we've talked about SPYI a lot on this channel, and QQQI is basically the same thing, only instead of S&P 500, we're talking about the NASDAQ 100. So by having exposure to the NASDAQ 100 and writing covered calls, this ETF is able to generate, or at least has so far been able to generate, some massive dividends for investors, at least as of the last few months. We're talking around 59 to 60 cents per month right now, with an ETF that's around $49 per share, which is yielding somewhere around 14, 13, 12%, somewhere around that range. All in all, sort of like FEPI, because this ETF is on the newer end and because it does track stocks that are a little bit more volatile, it's probably going to remain a smaller position in my portfolio. But if you're a fan of JEPQ, if you're a fan of sort of the tech names, but also the cover call strategy, this ETF is worth looking into. You are going to love it. Now, a little bit of a change of pace. The last dividend paying ETF that I've been buying a few shares as of recently is Devo, or the Amplify CWP Enhanced Dividend Income ETF. Now, Devo, for the most part, at least for me, is sort of one of those positions in my portfolio that I look at almost as cash because it's so low beta. It pretty much trades sideways or up a little bit. As you can see, over the last 8 or so years, it's up 52%, so it has trended up a little bit. But Devo pays its slow and steady around 4.6% yield and doesn't really do all that much other than that. Portfolio, I really use Devo as sort of a placeholder. If I have some cash balance on the side, I grab some shares of Devo, and or if I deposit some cash in my portfolio, Devo is sort of a great ETF to buy into. Now, throughout my portfolios, I think I have multiple thousand shares of Devo as of right now, and with the 14-15 cent dividend on a monthly basis, it definitely adds up over time. Now, Devo, in a nutshell, basically buys a small basket of holdings and also utilizes an option cover call overlay on individual stocks to generate a ton of income for investors. Now, this, like I said, not only generates more income in the form of dividends, but also right here it says seeks to lower volatility. So during times when the market turns sour, Devo definitely has some downside protection because of that cover call overlay. Now, because of that cover call overlay, Devo is not necessarily a rocket ship in the form of growth, but this ETF has consistently moved up and to the right at a slow and steady pace over time, all along while reducing volatility in your portfolio. Because of Devo's concentrated holdings and of course the cover call overlay, Devo has been a great holding in my portfolio, and I'll definitely continue to grab more shares of Devo from this point on in the future. So there's 5 different dividend paying ETFs that I've been buying as of recently that are substantially boosting my dividend income basically every single trading day because I've been buying a lot over the last few weeks. Now, as of right now, like I said, I'm on a huge kick of buying SPYI. As of right now, I think I have nearly 400 shares across my portfolios, and this is because I really like what the NEOS team is offering. But on top of that, I also am buying the odd share of JEPQ here and there, or even as of recently, I grabbed a few shares of QYLD, which was kind of random. But all in all, my main goal for this portfolio is to buy into different ETFs and stocks that are hopefully going to go up in price over time. But on top of that, I do have that longer term goal of getting this portfolio's monthly dividend income to a point to where I'm earning over 6 figures per year in dividends alone. Now, because we have a long way to go to hit that, it's not like I'm going to be chasing high yielding options. Although if there are different stocks or ETFs that I believe in, like the ETFs we talked about in this video, I do believe in their strategies. I will definitely partake and nibble on some higher yielders when it makes sense. But all in all, now I want to hear from you guys down below. Out of every single dividend paying ETF that we went through in today's video, I want to hear which one is your all-time favorite and why. Let us know in the comments down below. If you enjoyed this video, make sure to please drop a like on it and subscribe for more future content like this. Thanks as always for stopping by, and if you are interested in investing, make sure to check out these recent videos I posted right here.